something that I did not see at the time that it came out. I mentioned it last night on the Nightly News. The fact that Donald Trump actually directly addressed BLM abuses, called them a dictatorial agency. And this is something that he did in a small local paper. This was an op-ed that was published in a local paper in Nevada, the Reno Gazette-Journal. Did it at the end of January. I think it's one of the reasons why he won Nevada by 46%. Now, here's what he had to say. I think this is very important to listen to this. This is an op-ed from Donald J. Trump. It says, the U.S. is a land of laws. Americans value the rule of law above all. Why then has our Congress allowed the president and the executive branch to take on near dictatorial power? This is something I've talked about many times, in the sense that our Congress has abdicated its authority to write laws, and they have passed it on to bureaucracies who basically write their rules, treat them as law, and now have a militarized army to go out and enforce their laws, okay? That's not only taxation, the fines that they impose on people. It's not only taxation without representation, it is legislation without representation. But he goes on and says, how is it that we have a president who will not enforce some laws and who encourages faceless, nameless bureaucrats to manage public lands as if the millions of acres were owned by the agencies such as the Bureau of Land Management and the Department of Energy? In Nevada, the lack of enforcement of immigration laws and the draconian rule of the BLM, this is Donald Trump saying this, are damaging the economy, lowering the standard of living, and inhibiting natural economic growth. The only way to change these circumstances is to bring to Washington a president who will rein in the federal government and get Congress to do his job. Then he goes on to say, the BLM controls over 85% of the land in Nevada. And the rural areas, those who for decades have had access to public lands for ranching, mining, logging, and energy development, are forced to deal with arbitrary and capricious rules that are influenced by special interests that profit from the D.C. rulemaking and who fill the campaign coffers of Washington politicians. That's precisely what happened in Nevada. That is precisely what is happening in Utah. That is precisely what is happening in Oregon and elsewhere. We've seen this over and over again, and he directly addressed it. This is as good, if not better, than anything I've seen from Rand Paul in terms of directly speaking to the abuses of the federal bureaucracy. He goes on, he says, far removed from the beautiful wide open spaces of Nevada, bureaucrats bend to the influence that is closest to them. Honest, hardworking citizens who seek freedom and economic independence must beg for deference from a federal government. Let's call it a feral government. It has gone wild. It used to be domesticated. Now it is a feral government that is more intent on power and control than it is in serving the citizens of the nation. In and around Clark County, the situation is even worse. Boy, I couldn't have written it better myself. He knows precisely what is going on. He directly addressed it. He spoke about the rule of law.